take my birthday cake.
Yes, so let me take your birthday. I like your excitement. Start.
And
Yes.
some tilapia to
Grilled
go with the bun.
tilapia.
Lovely.
And
And then there's grilled chicken. I'll buy in
Obi Frewo. Ariza's 40th birthday was on 31st January 2023, and her squad actually reached out that we prepare something for her. Honestly, on a normal day, this is something that I would say no to, but I couldn't because this group of people are just so amazing, and I just couldn't. It was even on a very short notice. So we finalized everything on 30th January. I went to the market that afternoon to grab all of this. I made sure I got fresh ingredients, including the fowl. It was a live bird. And then I just came home. Okay, so let's start the preparation. I have with me here some scotch bonnet pepper, green onions or spring onions, some onions, ginger, and garlic. I'll go ahead and blend that with my local mixed spice, okay? And then once that is blended, I have here with me some kutudre, which is cow knee, and then beef. Okay, so to that I added some black pepper and some of my mixed herbs, some salt, and then I'm pouring all the ingredients that I blended. Rinsed out my blender, give it a stir, and then I'll cover it so that the meat will steam nicely. So once that is happening, I also went ahead and I'm going to prepare some marinade I'll be using for the chicken and the tilapia. And sometimes I just like to fry some of the veggies, and it does make a whole lot of difference to the taste. So I'm going to fry the garlic, the scotch bonnet pepper, and the onions until they caramelize. Okay, now while I was frying that, I was also chopping up some onions, as you can see. And then yes, at this point the meat, okay, is good, but then the cow knee, which is the kotujue, is hard, so that will need a longer time to cook. But once I'm done taking out the meat, I'll still take it out. I'll take it off the fire anyway because the stew is going to be cooking for a long time, and that will add it. Okay, so at this point, as you can see, my onions, they are just about the point that I want them, and I added the salt to it. It will just activate the sweetness in it, and also we need salt to marinate my chicken and then the tilapia. So all good. Now I've heated up some oil, and then I'll just go ahead and add the beef and fry the beef until it is nice. Now back to our caramelized onions. I've added some spring onions that is fresh, and then some red bell pepper. Added some seasoning cube, some of my herbs, and I'm adding some soya spice. I have all these recipes on the channel. They are all natural spices. Okay, so I'll just go ahead. Once this is done frying nice and good like this is how I want it. I'll just take everything out and continue with the cooking process. So the next thing that I'm adding is onions, and I keep saying this is supposed to be a Zongo inspired stew, and onions just make a whole lot of difference. So after adding the regular onion, I'm just adding in some spring onions as well. It's not going to change anything. It's actually going to add more flavor. So I'll go ahead and then fry that. Now this is what I blended for my marinade. I'll also be doing some green sauce. So I have some green bell pepper, spring onions, green scotch bonnet pepper. I added some fresh onions. Now this thing has been frying. It has got to this stage. Normally I'll just add my tomato paste and continue, but I'm going to take it out and blend because I know she has some kids. She has kids, and you wouldn't want some of the kids are really picky about seeing onions in their dish. So I was going to blend that. Then once I took that out to blend, I'm adding my tomato paste, and I'm going to fry it nicely. Fry it for a couple of minutes. Okay, so once that is done, I'll just go ahead. This is the onions and garlic and the the spring onions that I blended. Then this right here is also some fresh tomato and some red bell pepper that I blended. I added that immediately. I added the cow knee to the stew, so that because it is hard, so they start cooking right from the beginning. Normally I add my bay leaves to steam my meat, but most of the time I forget, so I I end up adding it to the stew along the way. So I've covered this under low heat. This was cooking for more than 2 hours because this was quite a lot. Okay, so almost 3 hours. Yes, and then I'll just go ahead and I'll come and add in the stock. So initially I just took out the fruit and added it to the tomatoes, added a little water, okay, so that it will cook down slowly. So I added some water to the tomatoes, and then now at this point I'm just adding the stock and then the beef itself, because the beef, even though I fried it, it's still also hard. Okay, and so it needs to soak up the stew and also soften up, and it will still taste great. So now I still added in some of the local spices. I have recipes again on the channel. It has some calabash nutmeg, some cloves, some nkiti like those ones. So I added that to it, and this thing that you are seeing here, that is ready, cooked for more than 4 hours. Yes, under low heat. So at that point I was done with that, and then I've come to my tilapia. I have washed and cleaned them. You saw the lemon from the beginning. Yes, I used it was lime. I used it to clean the fish nicely. As for the tilapia, not just lime, I washed it with some salt water as well. Okay, so that I'll have so that it has like, it's nicely salted. Not too much, but just enough. So I'll go ahead and add in my spice blend, and try really frying your onions and your garlic before adding it to your stuff, like, I mean, for a change, and you will notice the difference. It's a different flavor altogether. Now for the chicken, I didn't wash it with some salt water, I just lemon. So I'm going to sprinkle some salt and some black pepper, and then spread it all around it nicely, because I don't want this to be bland at all. I made the um people, because the live bed, they dressed it right in front of me, and I made them sort of open it up like a butterfly. They didn't get my instruction well. They were supposed to open it from the back. They did it from um the other side. Yeah, so what I'm trying to do right now is to take the marinade and go deep like inside under the skin, because this is a full chicken. You don't want it to be boring, oh, like it has that tendency of, being bland, and I don't want that at all. So I'm making sure that I'm going into every corner. As the time I was doing this, I started the whole cooking process. I went to the market that afternoon, started the whole cooking process around 5 p.m. I finished the stew and everything, but at the time I was doing this was like 10:30 p.m. So I was just going ahead and putting everything in there, every corner that I can find. Unless I don't find any incision, the spices is going inside every corner. And remember, like, I fried it with the oil, so the oil is going to keep it moist, because the same chicken, if you use just salt and you grill it, it can be very hard. But we don't want like it to be hard. We want it to be juicy. We want it to be nice and soft. Okay, so you have to make sure that you have, like, you're generous with the oil all around it. If there's anything I should have done different, maybe take the neck off. Yeah, but I just included it. So basically that is it for the chicken. As I mentioned, I was doing this in the evening, so I just cleaned it, and then I'm going to use the cling film, cover it so that the fragrances are absorbed as much as possible. It may not completely, but as much as possible. And I'm keeping this in my fridge. Okay, so I kept this in the fridge. This is the next morning. So I had bought the rice too. Okay, I bought rice in the rice cooker. I emptied it from the cooker, and the next morning I just, what you saw, and the tilapia has started grilling, and I'm also stirring my banku. So this is early in the morning. Cooking has begun. This is the first time I'm doing something like this. Honestly, major, that is not going to be consumed at home. It is going to a different family, and it was such a joy, like, being able to do this, to also bring smile to someone's face. I guess that was the motivation, and I was just hoping that I get it right to So I'll just go ahead and then knead my banku and get to that level where this is a bit hard. So I'll add in some water. I was boiling some water in my kettle. I added that to it. I will just move the banku a little and then I'll cover it under low heat. Okay, so the heat will penetrate into the banku and it will make it nice and delicious. Now, shout outs to Yasmin if you are watching up to this point. This is my smoker. Okay, um, I I just put some. The chicken is doing its job over there. Now we come back. You know, there's a lot happening. We come back to the kitchen. The tilapia. So I had to flip the other side so that the other side will do. We also grill nicely the chicken to have flipped it, but I don't want it to dry out at all. So the rest of the marinade, I added some more oil, made it lighter, and I'm using it to spread all over the chicken. I did the same for the tilapia so they don't dry out. Now quickly we come to the fried rice, and then the first thing, I had some oil in my wok. I'm frying some onions. I add some my garlic, my ginger and turmeric powder, also homemade recipe on the channel. Then I added my eggs, so scrambled some eggs in there, adding some red and green bell peppers, then some red and scotch bonnet pepper. So the scotch bonnet pepper, I took out the seeds from it, and then I'm just using the pepper itself. Okay, yeah, then I'll just add the rice. So as I said, it's just plain rice that I boiled in my rice cooker the night before. So before I slept, I spread it out in that saucepan you saw earlier. Okay, and then when I was about to sleep, I realized there was still a bit of heat, so I used the parchment paper to cover it before putting the lid on, so that it doesn't the water that it collects from the saucepan doesn't get back into the rice. I wouldn't want the rice to be soft. What I added was some soy sauce and some oyster sauce. Even without the soy sauce and oyster sauce, your rice would have been good to go. The addition of turmeric and ginger powder alone makes a whole lot of difference. So even when I presented the food, Ariza was like, is this curry rice or fried rice? Yeah, but it's solely up to you. So I'll go ahead and stir this. I'll be using the back of the spoon to be breaking, the rice, the ones that like were sort of clamped up. And then at this point, it was done. This wasn't part of the plan initially, but I had some ripe plantain at home, and I'm like, which Ghanaian will say no to kelewele? Show me. So I decided to fry some kelewele, and that is what you are seeing. I took out the first batch, and then I'm frying the second one, and that was it with the preparation. So yes, now it's just time to line up everything. The fire was really low, and I used charcoal, so this chicken is charcoal grilled, and I like the way it is looking. So I just put it up here. At this point, I'll just bring that. God, when they open it, don't let there be blood. So I took it to Sister Ariza's place. She wasn't home. I mean, it was supposed to be a surprise. She didn't know I was coming, but when I got home, she asked me to wait. She came back, and the rest is her reaction that I'll be watching. Blessed birthday. Sister Ariza was the one who gave me my cast iron. Okay, she surprised me with that first cast iron on this channel, and I really appreciated that kind gesture. So, what's your reaction?
I love it.
I see where your daughters get this thing from. I'm moving with display.
Yeah, and then salad. Hey, salad is a sandwich. Oh, lovely. Come and take my birthday cake.
Yes, so let me take your birthday. I like your excitement. Starisa.
Where we cake on?
Happy 40th birthday.
From MT.
And a man immense.
I'm blessed though. There's bangu, your baby.
Yes.
There's bangu. There's then fried rice and a vegetable rice.
Fried rice, fried rice. And
and some vegetables.
Yes.
And some tilapia
grilled
to go
tilapia.
With the
and then meko
and meko green and red. Very
Yes.
essential. We need a red pepper.
Some salad cream.
And some salad cream to go with the salad.
This is Zongo inspired stew.
Hey,
Kotojwe and beef.
All nations stew. Lovely. And then there's great chicken. I'll buy in the
No, how you do it?
Cook, I went to stew again. I'm tasting it.
Taste it for me. Taste it for me. You will say a whole chicken.
And then you stay for
Oh.
So we carry you.
By this time they are Jewon.
Oh, don't worry. If they don't say, do not down.
Hey, then it means it's good. Hey. My husband's book right now.
Final words.
Yeah, what do you want?
Final
What do you
words.
wish for? Like
Thank
your
you
40th?
very much. My final words is Ebrio Mombra. Many happy returns. Next time I am over $50,000 in that. Why?
Everybody meets Ariza. She was the one who gave me the cast iron saucepan that I did the unveiling on my channel. See her today. May you know my name. You're looking natural. Thank you.
When we eat, I'll give you a
Proper feedback.
Now look at all the food. 2 cakes. How are we going to eat this? At least, you know, my mother, she doesn't have a birthday. She has a birth week. So this will be for the week. Let's celebrate.
bum, bum, bum.
Open the cake. Okay, wait. Mommy's come to
I'm
cut
going
it.
to cut the cake. In the name of the Father, and of the Son,
And of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Mommy, is this bread knife?
yes.
You could have used another knife.
Hey, birthday girl.
That's me,
40
that's
years.
me,
Look at
that's
this
me,
40
that's
years.
all,
So
that's
cute.
all.
Cute. Baby
But I'm
face.
a slim white.